10. The Problem Solvers. June 27th to 28th, 2018. U.S. Air Force Major Charles Hodges has been commander of the 320th Special Tactics Squadron stationed in Okinawa, Japan, for just over a week when he gets the call telling him that his team's assistance has been requested by the Thai government. He has followed the situation in northern Thailand on television, but doesn't know much beyond the fact that a group of young boys is trapped inside a flooded cave with their coach. His squadron quickly assembles and boards a C-130 transport plane, headed for Chiang Rai, on the evening of June 27th. Major Hodges is new to commanding a squadron, but his years of training have taught him that good leaders do the following. Gather as much information as possible in the beginning. Assemble a strong team of people with the right expertise. Listen to many different ideas about solving the problem. Step back and let their team do what they do best. Plenty of leaders end up shutting down good solutions because they just can't give up control. Luckily, Major Hodges is not a my way or the highway type of leader. He is a little bit like Coach Ake that way. He knows that his team is one of the best equipped in the entire Indo-Pacific region for this type of extreme search and rescue operation. Members of his squadron have pulled survivors out of collapsed buildings after earthquakes. They have recovered bodies from helicopter crashes over the open ocean. They have rescued downed pilots from behind enemy lines. His team has combat experience, emergency medical experience, and years of open water diving experience. But rescuing a group made up almost entirely of children is unusual for them, and it will present special challenges. Major Hodges has 4 children of his own, and many in his squadron are also parents. He tells his unit that as difficult as it may be, he needs them to leave their emotions behind. If they are going to be useful in this rescue, they can't let their emotions cloud their ability to tackle the problem. When the team arrives at Tham Luang at 1 a.m. on June 28th, they get an immediate introduction to just how unique and difficult this mission will be. Major Hodges is in the middle of getting an orientation to Chamber 1 when an urgent voice calls them back to the mouth of the cave. As the squadron crosses Chamber 1, their boots slosh through ankle-deep water where only moments before the ground had been dry. Behind them, Thai Navy SEALs and rescue workers rush out, hauling as much equipment as they can carry as water surges higher and fills the cave all the way to the entrance chamber. It's clear to Major Hodges that this is not going to be a simple cave extraction. He gathers his team in one of the small park headquarters buildings to go over the information they have so far. Even though their squadron has plenty of experience carrying out scuba diving recoveries in the open ocean, they are no more prepared for cave diving than the Thai SEALs are. If the US team is going to assist the SEALs, it won't be with their diving skills, but with their problem-solving skills. The first thing they need to do is establish proof of life, or figure out if the boys and Coach Ake are even alive. If they are, they will urgently need food, water, and medical care. Major Hodges' team brainstorms different ways to find them. The first option is to drill into the side of the mountain. In 2010, when 33 miners were trapped in a collapsed mine in Chile, they were rescued by drilling a hole 2,300 feet, or 700 meters, into the earth and pulling them up to the surface. The wild boars are nowhere near that deep underground. If the rescue teams could drill even a small 4 to 6 inch hole into the cave, just 10 to 15 centimeters across, they could lower a camera or a microphone down and figure out if the boys are still alive. A second option is to suck enough water out of the cave so that rescuers can simply swim, or better yet, walk, inside instead of having to dive. The Thai military has set up pumps at the entrance to lower the water levels, but with the recent rain, the pumps can't keep up with the flow. Major Hodges asks himself, who is the very best in the world at pumping out huge amounts of fluid from under the ground? The answer he comes up with? Oil companies. He begins reaching out to oil companies in Thailand to see what type of equipment and expertise they can bring. The third option is to look for alternative entrances into the cave. In a karst system as long as Tham Luang's, surely there are other openings that lead from the surface into the cave. Locals insist that they know of holes hidden in the forest that enter into Tham Luang. But do the entrances exist, or are they just legends? Everyone decides that they have to give this third option a shot. Their task is daunting. The Nang Non mountain range is covered in thick jungle. The steady rains and plentiful sunlight of this region of Thailand nurtures forests full of life. Straight-trunked trees called dipterocarps soar overhead, draped in vines that make it impossible to tell where one tree ends and the next one begins. When you stand on top of the mountain and look out, you see nothing but green. It makes for beautiful sightseeing. It makes for horrible hiking. Add to that the muddy, slippery ground from all the rainfall, and you have downright treacherous conditions. Members of Thailand's National Parks Department and Royal Thai Army personnel are tasked with leading the Overland search. They are joined by Charles Hodges' U.S. Air Force team and thousands of volunteers, including search and rescue experts from Australia and China, as well as Vern Unsworth and Sang Woot's rescue workers, who have been at Tham Luang since the day they discovered the boys' bikes. Local guides help to lead groups through the dense brush. These guides are Highland indigenous peoples who have made their home in the valleys between Thailand's northern mountains for centuries. Many migrated into Thailand to escape persecution in their ancestral homeland in Myanmar. Others trace their origins to Laos or China. They have their own languages and traditions, and their villages are small and quite isolated from one another. They are very familiar with the forests surrounding their villages, and they lead the search parties to holes they know are deep. The big question is, how deep do they go? Among the many volunteers who will join the search is a group from Thailand's far southern Trang province, who have made the 1,000-mile journey to Chiang Rai, about 1,600 kilometers. They are professional bird's nest collectors who search caves for cliff swallow nests, which are used to make bird's nest soup, a prized delicacy in Thailand and China. They bring ropes and tough calloused palms. They lower themselves down on the ropes, headfirst and without helmets, into the pitch-black shafts. The squeezes are so tight that searchers have to clear out rocks bit by bit with their hands, passing the debris back out to their teammates behind them. Governor Narongsak sends helicopters and drones into the sky to scan the terrain and take photographs. The searchers find some shafts that reach as deep as 100 feet, 30 meters, into the mountain. But so far, each one is a dead end. They will not give up, though. They continue combing the mountain, even as more rains fall overhead. When the search teams are too far away to make it back before dark, they curl up on the ground and sleep in the forest. Back at base camp, plastic tarps have been set up for the boys' families, who have spent day and night in front of the cave, praying. They kneel in front of a spread of fancy desserts, fruit, rice, and sweet drinks, all offerings presented to the sleeping lady of Nang Non, the spirit of the cave. The families plead with her to protect their boys. If she is angry, will she please forgive them and let them go? People play gongs and beat drums. They hold up fishing nets in a ritual that symbolizes fishing out the lost boys from the cave. The families are joined by members of the wild boars who didn't go on the adventure with their friends. The boys have all been playing soccer together for years, and everyone feels the loss of the missing 12. The players who remain are torn between feeling grateful for being safe and feeling guilty for not having gone with the others into Tham Luang. It could be them trapped inside. How can they go to sleep at night in the safety of their beds when their friends are trapped underground? As much as soccer is a part of their lives, no one can stomach getting on the field without the other guys. The boys' teachers and classmates visit the cave too. They all say the same things. Class is too quiet. It's too hard to study or even pay attention, knowing that there is an empty chair where your friend used to sit. Life seems to be on hold, waiting for the 12 boys to come out, or everything to go back to normal. But then base camp receives a visitor, whose presence brings a much-needed ray of hope for the boys' loved ones. The Honorable Monk Kruba Bunchum. Despite the deep mud, he walks barefoot, as he always does. He is a famous and highly revered forest meditation monk, called by some the Monk of the Three Nations, because he walks between Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos, praying and teaching his followers. At Tham Luang, he is surrounded by people who greet him with deep and respectful bows. He prays with the families and speaks to the spirits surrounding the cave. He listens to what they have to say. Before he leaves, he tells the wild boar's parents not to worry. Their sons are just fine, and they will come out in a few days. His calmness puts the families at ease. If Kruba Bunchum says to have hope, how can they do otherwise? Major Hodges gives the family space. In part, this is because journalists have begun to arrive at Tham Luang in droves. Reporters follow Hodges' team everywhere, and he doesn't want to bring any unwanted attention to the boys' parents. But another reason for keeping his distance is to take his own advice and not get emotionally attached to anyone in the rescue. His commanding officer calls and asks for an honest assessment. Do you think you're going to find the kids? Major Hodges doesn't sugarcoat things. No, sir, I don't, he says. I think of myself as a glass half full kind of guy, but I don't see how these kids could still be in there. Caves are not hospitable environments. If they are in there, they're probably dead, and if we're lucky, we will find their remains. The Thai Air Force has just deployed an underwater drone to try to push through the freshly flooded entrance passages. It may be able to provide valuable information about what the underwater conditions are like. But even if the drone can get through the water, it won't be able to cross the dry sections of the cave to continue searching for the boys. So far, no one has invented an amphibious robot that can swim through water and then climb onto dry land and keep going. The only way to get into the dark belly of Tham Luang is to send a human being. Sending in divers is the fourth option Major Hodges' team comes up with, but at the moment, it seems the most impossible. Only the world's very best cave divers would be able to even attempt it. Major Hodges doesn't know it yet, but that is exactly who has just arrived at Tham Luang. The spirits around us. In Thailand, Buddhism and other spiritual beliefs intertwine. In addition to following the Buddha's teachings, many Thai Buddhists also revere a host of other spirits. You often find carvings and statues of nature spirits, such as water serpents called the Phaya Na, protecting Buddhist temples. Many Thai homes and businesses have spirit houses somewhere on the property, small wooden shrines that are dedicated to the spirits who watch over the area and honor those who lived there previously. People place offerings of food and flowers at the spirit house as a sign of respect for the spirits. In return, they hope that the spirits will show them good favor and not trouble them. Nature spirits look over everything: the forests, the rivers, the mountains. Whether you are walking in the jungle or down a busy city street, it's common to see colorful ribbons tied around the trunks of large, old trees. Another way to honor the spirits that protect the land. Spirits are everywhere. They can be gentle and protective, or moody and vengeful. Either way, spirits should be treated as respectfully as the living.